And welcome to tonight's original news. We begin with a story coming out of CARICOM. Chairman of CARICOM, Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, says that a special meeting of the regional body will be held next week to discuss the electoral impasse in Guyana. Gonzalez, who was the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, said the meeting could be held as early as Monday. Gonzalez, who described the crisis in Guyana as a blot on the nation and the regional body, said that certain actions could be taken by the grouping but did not go into details. Since the March 2 election, other CARICOM leaders, including former CARICOM chair and Prime Minister of Barbados Mia Mottley and Prime Minister of Dominica Roosevelt Skerrit, have also joined in calls for an end to the electoral impasse in Guyana. And now for news from Barbados. There are reports reaching this newscast that former Prime Minister Owen Arthur was admitted to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. It is understood he has heart complications, but is said to be in a stable condition. Arthur recently took up duties as chairman of Aliat, the Caribbean airline. And now for news from Venezuela. UN Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet said that the Venezuelan authorities had failed to investigate crimes linked to the industry in the region of Arco Minero del Orinco, including extortion, amputation, and miners being buried alive. Criminal groups exercise control over a large number of mining operations there, where children as young as 9 have been seen working, according to a report from Ms. Bachelet's office, OHCHR. Research and interviews by the UN investigators also indicated that women are also performing both mining and other related jobs, with a sharp increase in prostitution, sexual exploitation, and trafficking in mining areas, including of teenagers. Living conditions in mining areas are described as appalling in the report, with no running water, electricity, or sanitation. Both the workers and native communities, whose territories and natural resources have been destroyed, have also been badly affected by mercury poisoning, women disproportionately, testimonies indicated. And now for a rather interesting story. Many sex workers in Bolivia say they'll return to work using gloves, bleach, and see-through raincoats. They say these recommendations suggested by the Organization of Night Workers of Bolivia, OTNB, will keep everyone safe. Prostitution in the South American country is legal and regulated in licensed brothels. Restrictions have slightly erased after an early lockdown in March, but some work, including sex work, is still restricted during the day, and a nighttime curfew remains in place. And finally, in tonight's regional news, hospitals in Brazil are struggling to cope with an influx of coronavirus patients, as confirmed cases have crossed the 2 million mark in the world's second worst hit nation by the pandemic. More than 45,000 new infections were reported by the health ministry on Thursday, but the real figures are believed to be much higher due to the insufficient testing. The overall confirmed number of coronavirus-related deaths stood at 76,688, also second highest globally behind the United States. Even as cases waned somewhat in the biggest and hardest hit Brazilian cities, infections are peaking in new locations across the country. President Jair Bolsonaro, who is currently in isolation after twice testing positive for the virus, has been widely criticized for not taking the country's outbreak seriously. The former army captain has opposed lockdown restrictions, often appearing in public to shake hands with supporters and mingle with crowds, at times without a mask, and derided the coronavirus as a little flu. That was all for tonight's regional news. Thank you for joining. Bye.